Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. So today we are basically going to start with the first exam practice question session of APM. First of all, I would like you to introduce yourself regarding just a brief introduction of whether this is going to be your first attempt or not, which areas you are struggling in APM, what do you think areas which you think that you are struggling, and anything else would you like to specifically ask from me. That's basically what I want so that I can discuss accordingly, right? So can any one of you start? Uh, let's start with Ishika. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Can you give me a very brief introduction of yourself?
Yes, my name is Ishika and I'm from Delhi. This is my first professional exam, APM. I'm going to attempt it for the first time in the September 2023. And I think the issue with this paper is like how we present our answers. So as of now, I haven't practiced as much like how we need to uh, write down our answers, how to structurize our answer in a proper way. So this is what I am expecting from this session. I think this is the agenda of the session. Like we are practicing one question, maybe.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any idea about the professional marks?
Yes. I know. I think I'm not sure exactly 10 marks or 20 marks are allotted to the professional writing, like how professionally we are writing the answers, not just writing in the bookish language, how we are relating the answers to our case studies and to the material that we have read earlier.
Okay, perfect. All right. There's one more person. I think he left. Okay.
Yeah.
Just a brief introduction regarding myself. I have been teaching APM since 2000 and I think 7 or 8. From the time it has started, initially it was P5, but now it's APM. So if you see the transition of APM paper from P5, there has, I mean, lot of things have been changed. Initially, it was more, initially it was a very simplified version. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Initially, it was very simplified version. I mean, the question which examiner used to ask were very simple. If you see 2007, 2008 past paper, if available on internet, I'm not sure if whether they are available. So they are very, those papers are very simple, very, I mean, very easy version of APM. But if you see current recent papers, the examination style has been changed a lot. And let me tell you a few things which, a few points which I have identified from your brief introduction is, see, okay, fine. The only problem is, you said that you have not practiced APM paper a lot, right? And you are going to attempt in September. See, the
Yes.
main issue with the APM paper for students who are struggling in passing the APM paper is actually the practice. Because see, what the problem is, what I have experienced is that if you ask the students why you flunked, why you failed, he or she doesn't have any idea why he or she flunked. The student says that, ma'am, we really did well in our paper. Everything went well. We wrote everything. We knew everything. Paper was easy. We wrote everything, but I don't know. I flunked. So that's basically the problem. If you see the other papers, advanced financial management, So people know why they flunked because it's very connected type of thing. I mean, calculation, there are calculations. So students knew where actually they are struggling. In APM paper, unfortunately, students have no idea where they are actually where the problem is, right? So
Exactly.
let me tell you a few important points which I have identified considering the students' feedback, and then I will tell you how to improve that, and then we will do one quick question, right? So
Yes.
directly, right. Okay. So directly coming to the common issues which I believe that students face, the first thing is that they struggle in understanding the question requirement. And I will tell you in today's session what do I exactly mean regarding this. There are two problems mainly. The first problem is that they read the question, they read the requirement in a hurry because obviously there's exam pressure. So sometimes they miss a very important part and they don't answer it in the examination in their answer paper. This is a very generalized problem. The second problem is that it this paper is actually connected with the past other papers as well. I mean, SWOT analysis, benchmarking, pest analysis. There are topics which are connected with the topics which you have already studied earlier. Now the problem is when students see those topics in APM paper, they think that this is something which they know. And unfortunately, something which they already know, they attempt it in a wrong manner. I'm not saying that they don't know things, but they attempt it in a wrong manner. For example, let me give you a very simple example of that. For example, there is a concept which we all know, very simple concept, SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Now, whenever APM examiner has examined it, APM examiner has examined it with respect to the performance measurement. That what KPIs the company should have in order to, the properly establish the SWOT analysis. And students write what they have already learned in the previous papers. So they write things, but the whatever they write is not in line with what is the requirement. And they think that they did perfectly fine because according to them they have written the correct form of SWOT analysis, which is not the requirement. So that is basically the problem. The second problem is that students miss very easy marks. Now easy marks means what? I believe out of 100 marks question paper, there can be 4 to 5 marks that are very easy. How that is? See, try to read whenever you read any question, try to identify whether the company has started something this time. I mean, is company has company initiated something? If the company is saying that we want to start benchmarking, or we want to start ABM, or we want to start any new topic, then that means you should give a very brief introduction of what that concept is. Like, for example, we are going to we the company wants to do benchmarking with the other competitors within the same industry. So first of all, you have to start with a 2 or 3 liner of what the benchmarking concept is actually, and that usually have 1 or 2 marks, just a general description why that is relevant with the company. So this is something which usually students miss out. That's 1 or 2 marks requirement, 1 or 2 marks, which is usually the part of the whole question. Time management issues obviously there because I have seen people struggling with time management and time, and to cope up with this thing. And there are a few other things. I always recommend students to attempt the question in exam environment. I know it sounds very childish that at this point of time, are we supposed to do this? Yes, you are supposed to do this because you have to practice. See, why I'm saying this because I believe, and this happened with so many students. If you are writing learning curve, as we have studied earlier, if you are writing something first time, you will struggle. But if you have written almost 25 to 30 questions in past regarding different topics, it will be easier for you to connect those papers, the paper with what you have already written in past. And I have a very simple example that if I'm teaching you variances, what you will do practice of variance, how to attempt it, mixed variance, yield variance, and you will do 2 to 3 or 4 or maybe 5 questions, and then you will say, okay, fine, now I'm comfortable. Same thing with the APM paper is, unfortunately, students don't practice it. So what the problem is, when they go to the examination hall, they face this time management issues and the other issues. So the best way to practice APM, to prepare for APM paper, is to write, and write within the time limit, that 1.5 hours, if that is question number 1, and maybe 45 to 50 minutes maximum if that is question number 2 or question number 3, because that will tell you how you can write, how much you can write in examination situation. So I think this is really very important, and obviously it's I think it's July 21st, so August, and then there's just 1 month left. So I think this is a high time to start writing the answers. This is really very important. Professional marks issue was initially was the case. Now still that is the case, because see, professional marks is not that difficult, I believe. If you read the question requirements carefully, and if you try to properly answer it, you will ultimately get professional marks. Because the problem is, students were actually not fulfilling the complete requirements, so that's why examiner has put these professional marks. I will come back to these professional marks later in the presentation. Then marking scheme is something which students don't consider. And I don't know how many times you have considered that, but I believe that this is really very important to see how many marks should be allocated to which part. Right? Because it's like that you are trying to get bonus in your company and you don't know on what factors your bonus is based on. So no matter how hard you work, ultimately you will not get bonus because you have not fulfilled the desired outcome. And in case of unsuccessful attempt, they don't know what went wrong. As I said earlier, that students don't have any idea why they've done. Improvement can be done by, again, reading the requirement carefully. I will come back. I mean, we will practice this in today's session. Justification. Now, this justification, I don't know how to emphasize on this, but justification is the most important thing in APM paper. Trust me. If you have written something, for example, if examiner has asked you to, I don't have, okay, fine. Let me do it like this. For example, the company's objective is to become number 1 company. This is somewhere, or maybe market leader, you got some information, right? And the company has not mentioned its market share in its performance measurement report. Then that means what? That means something is not right. So what you do is what the students do is they try to recommend something. For example, students have recommended that company should use market share in order to identify, in order to, connect with this part of the mission statement. Or maybe student will say that the company should use relative market share. Company should use relative market share in order to connect it with this mission statement. But the justification is missing here. Why you think that relative market share is important? If suppose a company has used market share and you are saying that no, market share is an important indicator, but relative market share is more important, then why you are recommending this? That if you are not justifying your answer, that why you think that the relative market share is more important compared with market share, you will not get marks. You have to tell examiner that market share, just tell us that, for example, if the market share is 8%, it is not telling me whether the company is market leader or not. At 8% or maybe at 10%, company can be a market leader. And there are equal chances that at 10%, company is far behind the market leader. So relative market share will tell you your position, your rank, where you are in comparison with the market leaders, right? So if market leader has a market share of 22% and you have a market share of just 10%, that will tell you the gap. So that's why relative market share is important. So if you have not justified your answer, trust me, you will not get a single mark for recommending relative market share. Similarly, if you are saying that economic value added is more important compared to ROCE, and you are not justifying your answer, examiner will not give you a single mark for that. So the justification part is really very important in APM. If you are not justifying your suggestion, or if you are not justifying your criticism in the sense that we are saying that no company should not use some indicator, suppose any indicator, we are trying to criticize that company should not use any indicator. Why you are saying that? On what basis you are saying that the company is wrong? So you have to justify. And on what basis you are saying that this indicator is more important? You have to justify that. And if you are agreeing with something which the company is doing, for example, you are saying that no, whatever the indicators are company is using is perfectly fine. You have to justify that also. That since it is connected with the overall mission statement of the company, and it is in line with the mission statement or objective of company, that's why this statement is perfectly fine. There is no need to change it. So that justify, if you're not justifying your paper, your answer, you will not get any marks. And trust me, if you read the examiner comments, examiner is fed up with the students. That I mean, I don't know how many times examiner has said in his examination report that please justify your answer, please write what is required, but the students are not listening. So that justification part is really very important. Without justification, you cannot pass APM paper, no matter how good you have attempted. Marks planning with planning of marks is a very simple concept. 4 professional marks are not here. I just wrote it wrong. There are 20 professional marks. 10 professional marks are for first question, and 10 professional marks are for second and third question, 5 professional marks each, right? And this examination report is really very important. There are 4 professional marks. If I come to communication, do you have any idea about communication, that what sort of communication examiner is actually asking about? Because if you know, I will move forward.
I think it's more about how clearly we are communicating our ideas.
Yes.
Not just like beating around the bush, like clearly stating what exactly is required.
Perfect. It has 2 to 3 areas to be considered. And trust me, communication was something which was initially also the part of AP 5 from its inception. But now examiner is clearly asking for it. Communication is actually related with question number 1 only. It's usually not the part of question number 2 and 3. Communication is actually related with the report writing, the format of report writing, the headings and subheadings, and this is the presentation part. The other part is to address all the required parts. Everything which is required in the question should be properly answered, should be considered. I mean, you should not leave anything unanswered. That also comes under the concept of communication. So that's basically what the communication is. So it's very simple. Appropriate headings, introduction, report, and content must be relevant to the requirements. Any specific the instructions in the examination question, you have to do that. Analysis and evaluation, this is also something which was the part of initial APM paper. Now examiner has, focusing on it. But if you see past papers, from, I think, 2014-15, in every examination paper, first question always include evaluate the performance measurement report, evaluate the reward system, evaluate the SWOT analysis done by the company. So evaluation is from, I think I'm 99% sure that I'm right. Evaluation is from the inception of APM paper. you have to evaluate. And evaluate is a very specific term which was not the part of performance measurement or PM or FI, whatever you call it. Evaluation typically means two things. Let me try to write it in this way. If you know something, sorry, evaluate actually means what? If you agree with something. Suppose if examiner is asking you to evaluate a performance report, that whether the performance report which we have made is in line with the company's overall objective. So if you agree, you have to write the reason why you think that you agree. And if you disagree, you have to write the reason, as I said, justification. You have to write the reason why you think that you disagree. So evaluation has always been the part of APM paper. This is not new. Analysis and evaluation. Analysis is the overall analysis with respect to the company, with respect to the situation, with respect to what the company is doing, right? So thoroughly investigate and research information, logically process it with a view of prioritizing the activities, what should be done with the company, is company doing everything well or not. Conclusion and recommendation, this is usually recommended that try to end your answer with sort of conclusion or recommendation if you feel that it is relevant in that scenario. So you should try to conclude it in maybe one sentence or two sentences, but try to put this heading in your answer. Carefully assess situation, proposals, argument in a balanced and cognate way. Now, this is why this is important, because there are few questions which you see in past where suppose that there is a transfer pricing question and examiner is saying that the company is using cost-based transfer pricing, cost-based transfer pricing policy. I hope you know what is transfer pricing. And examiner has asked you to evaluate it. You have evaluated it, right? And but balancing means you have to tell the counter argument as well. That what if company follows something else? Is there any chance of, what if the company use selling price as a transfer pricing policy? Would that be more accurate? What benefits could have been? Or maybe what are the disadvantages of cost plus pricing policy? So this is some sort of balancing. So there are times when you feel that there are so many things which are going in favor. So you try to balance your answer with something which is not maybe given in the scenario, but you know that this is a problem in ABC. Probably, let's suppose if ABC is a topic, so you maybe try to counter that problem. That look, although it seems good that companies should adopt ABC, but it comes with a lot of cost. It comes with a lot of data information regarding the processes. It's important for the company to understand whether it will be able to process such detailed overhead system, something like that. So usually it's good to balance your answer. Skepticism is actually related to the idea of raising the question regarding what the company is doing. If you find something unethical, if you find something fishy in the overall situation, you should try to question it, right? You should try to question it. You should try to question some assumption. But skepticism, usually students misunderstand it. Skepticism, you don't need to raise question on everything which a company is doing. If you feel there is something which the company is not doing correctly, let's suppose the company wants to shift from traditional absorption costing to the activity-based costing, or company wants to move from cost-based to cost-based to target costing system, something like that. And if you feel that there's something wrong, there's some companies trying to make, or let's take a very simple example of that. Suppose a company is trying to switch from economic value added to return on investment. So you need to identify the issues which can arise by using ROI, and you need to raise the question that why the company wants to do so, considering that EV is a better performance indicator. But trust me, don't raise question on each and everything with the company is doing. It's a bit tricky, but we will discuss this. Commercial acumen is usually actually this why examiner has introduced this. Let me tell you. There was a question. There was an examiner report. I'm not sure which attempt it was, where examiner has actually complained in his report that the students, just for the sake of using activity-based costing, the student has written that the company should change its factory layout just to implement activity-based costing. Now, this is a very stupid idea. So commercial acumen actually relates with the fact that you have to advise something which is reasonable. If that is not reasonable, you should not attempt it. So these are few things. I know you guys are well aware of this, but in terms of APM, I think communication and evaluation, these two things are can be a bit different from the other papers. Now we are not going to do benchmarking. We are going to start with a question right now. And since I need to switch to, I think I should switch to my tablet mode, and in that case, I will be able to mark few things. So just allow me 2 minutes. Let me connect it from the other device. Just a second. Or we can do it and can do it here as well. Let's do it. I think we can do it. So this is basically a question which I have taken from last ACCA mock question, because I think this is something which few students have attempted. So this is basically ACCA last, I think, June attempt mock paper question. And I believe this is the classical question with respect to the problem of identifying the question requirement, right? So let's start with this. And it's 6 o'clock here. We will do this reading part, and then we will see if we need a 5 minutes break or not, and then we will move to the next part, right? So let's start reading this question. I hope you guys have an idea about embedded requirement. If not, I will tell you what is embedded requirement in APM paper, right? So let's start with this. Let's see what we can do here. Wood Court Management Services is the waste collection and disposal management department for T-Shire local government. TLG is the local government body which is tasked by the national government of T-Land with providing services including waste management for the region of T-Shire, right? So the overall budget of TLG is set by the national government. The strategy of TLG has been presented in a set of pledges to its citizens. The pledges relevant to WMS as under the overarching heading, maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in T-Shire. And under the heading, TLG has then identified the following more details aimed to prioritize. Okay, fine. I think I need a pen to write few things. So just allow me 2 minutes to connect it with another device. Just a second. Just a second.
Meeting is being recorded.
All right.
Sorry for the
Just
there's just 2 minutes. Um, all right. I think there's something wrong with the device.
so let's continue with it. Let's not waste our time. Okay, fine. So WMS is a waste collection and disposal management for T-shire local governments. So we are actually talking about WMS, which is somehow connected with T-shire local government, the local government body which is tasked by the national government of T-land. So somehow WMS is connected with TLG, right? Um, the overall budget of TLG is set by the national government, right? So TLG is actually also some sort of bounded by the national government. The strategy of TLG has been presented in a set of pledges to its citizens, right? The pledges relevant to WMS are under overarching heading of maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in T-shire. And under the heading of TLG has then identified the following detailed aims. Now there are three detailed aims, right? And try to remember that these three aims are actually connected with TLG. So these three objectives are actually connected with TLG. Right? And the original company which we were talking about was WMS. So the first objective of the first heading under the first aim, you can say, is prioritize keeping public spaces clean and effective, right? Continue to increase recycling levels and reduce the proportion of waste going to landfill dumping sites. And the third objective of TLG is to oppose the large scale burning of organic matter. Right. So there are three basic objectives of TLG. Right. And the next part is what? The board of WMS. Now from here, WMS has started. The board of WMS has discussed the hierarchy of a strategy at length and has agreed to the following response. WMS will achieve the details aim of TLG because WMS is working under TLG by being recycling friendly, right? Winning the annual national cleaning region competition. This is the second one. and instituting project pressure, right? So try to grasp the information which we have studied till now. It's a very simple question, right? There are two entities about which the question is talking. The first one is WMS, the second one is TLG, right? TLG is a local government body which is tasked by the national government, right? And WML is actually a department of steel and local government. Steel and government objectives, steel and objectives are given here, and WMS responses are given here. You have to think whether this is a mission statement or not. That we will do later. The aim of Project Fresh here is to oppose the large scale burning of the large scale burning of organic matter. This is related to desire to reduce air pollution and carbon dioxide emission in line with the national plan. It is planned that this project will be targeted at farming industry in Teeshire to educate them in alternative uses for wheat and sugarcane stubble which remain in the field after harvesting, as these are commonly burned in the field, creating large choking clouds of smoke which diffuse across the region. The CEO of WMS has number of concern around the performance management and has asked you as a performance management expert to help on some tasks, right? So two entities, two objectives, probably two mission statements, objectives, and a project. This is basically the first company introduction, right? Now let's move to the next part. The next part is performance hierarchy. The CEO considers himself a logical manager and so wants to be able to explain how his department performance measurement system fits with the overall strategy of TLG, right? This is basically the concept of embedded requirement, that whatever is required from you is actually the part of question. You will not find anything in the requirement. If you see the requirement, this is the requirement. Nothing is mentioned here. So whatever you will find is in the question. So probably the first requirement is this one: performance hierarchy, performance dashboard, benchmarking exercise, project air, fresh air. And this is something about which you have to write the report. So hierarchy, dashboard, benchmarking exercise, project, fresh air. These are 4 windows which have been given apart from company introduction. So the CEO considers himself a logical manager and so wants to be able to explain how his department performance measurement system fits with the overall strategy of TLG. He would like you to assess how a cascade down from mission to critical success factor to KPI could be achieved at WMS. Now the problem is majority student, I mean those to whom with whom I did this question in the last semester, were unable to understand the requirement. I'm giving you, okay, fine. Let's read the next few parts and then we'll come back. What is this part, right? Let's move to the next part and then we will come back. The second part is performance dashboard. This is that was related to performance hierarchy, now related to dashboard. Performance hierarchy in the sense that CSF, KPI, and then CSF, mission statement, objective, CSF, and KPI. Performance dashboard, the CEO would like you to provide an evaluation. Again, the concept of evaluation we will find everywhere in APM. Evaluation of whether WMS current performance dashboard measure the achievement of both TLG and WMS. This is important because we are actually talking about TLG and WMS detailed aims. So you have to see whether WMS current performance dashboard measure the achievement of both TLG and WMS detailed aims. At this stage, he has instructed you to limit. Now, this is also the part of communication. You to limit your work to considering those matrices, sorry, to those matrices in the current dashboard. Current dashboard means probably in appendix number 1. He has supplied you with a copy of most recent performance dashboard in WMS in appendix number 1. This is appendix number 1, right? And then there is a benchmarking exercise, and then there is project fresh air. So I think we will start with performance hierarchy and dashboard first, and then we will move to benchmarking because that is a very different thing. And this is appendix number 1. If you see this appendix number 1, you are getting few types of information. Try to absorb all these requirements, try to see what are these requirements, and then we will start doing this question. This is actually related to WMS, right? Performance is related to 30th June 2005. There are few indicators. Frequency of waste collection from private homes, commercial premises, waste containers on the street from 2003 to 2005. Then volume of waste is given here. Then volume of waste disposed of from landfill site and recycling facilities. I'm giving you 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. Try to absorb, try to read this, absorb this, and try to understand what are these 3 indicators. And then we will discuss on it. Then we will discuss it. Okay. Let's talk about the first one. Frequency of waste collection every X days from private homes, commercial premises, and waste container on the street. This is actually what? This is actually telling you that every X times means every 14, for every 14 days or maybe 7 days. So from private homes, we are collecting waste every 14 days, right? Every 14 days, if you put 14 in X, and commercial premises and waste containers on the street. This is basically how many times we are collecting the waste, right? How many times, not what is the frequency? 2 weeks, maybe 1 week. Volume of waste collected, this is the second indicator, and volume of waste disposed of. So what we are collecting and what we are disposing it of with respect to landfill site, with respect to recycling facilities, both are given here. Can you differentiate between these two? These two. Landfill, sorry. Disposal from landfill sites and disposal of from recycling facilities. Okay, fine. Just a question. Just a question. Don't, no matter if you are right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Do you think this decreasing trend, probably from 2 to 1.9, is a good news? Or increasing of 0.8 to 1.2 is a good news, is a good information, is an improvement?
I think for the landfill sites, it's improvement because the volume of waste that is disposed of is less.
Yes. Anyone else? I think there are 2 to 3 more people. I don't know when you guys joined. Um, okay. So recycling facilities, yes, you are right. If we are reducing landfill site disposal, that means we are reducing wastage, right? And recycling facilities, if they are increasing, that's a positive sign because now we are recycling it more, right? And then labor cost is given. So it's a very nice, very decent, very clean appendix. Nothing much is given here. Um, Now let's move back to the requirement, right? Because requirement is very simple. The requirement is this, right? So if I ask you that what is actually this requirement, can you take 2 minutes and okay, fine. Let me do one more thing. Because there are two different requirements, seems very similar. Right? So read these two requirements and try to differentiate how you will differentiate first requirement with the other requirement. I'm giving you 2 minutes, try to think properly. Sorry for the inconvenience, but let me try to put it here. So I hope it's readable. All right. Can any one of you explain the first part of the requirement? Because the requirement, the question is very simple, right? I believe the requirement is not. So I'm just maybe a blind guess. What is the first requirement? Because I think how many marks? I think just for 10 or 11 marks. The CEO considers himself a logical manager, so wants to be able to explain how his department is actually referring to who? Department is actually WMS, sorry. Department is actually WMS, right? So he wants to be able to explain how his department performance system fits with the overall strategy of TLG, right? Now for this, we have to look at what is the strategy of TLG. So let's move here. What is the strategy of TLG? The overall budget of, okay, fine. The strategy of TLG. The strategy of TLG has been presented in the set of pledges to its citizens. The pledges relevant to WMS. Only WMS are under overarching heading, maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in T-Shire. And under this heading, this major objective, this major mission statement, TLG has then identified following more details aimed to prioritize keeping public spaces clean and attractive, continue to increase recycling level and reduce the proportion of wastage going to landfill dumping sites and oppose the large scale burning of organic matters, right? So whatever you are doing, whatever your performance measurement system is, you have to check whether that is in line with the overall TLG mission statement or not, right? He would like you to assess how cascade down from mission to critical success factor to KPI could be achieved at WMS. So there is a logical structure of first we start with the mission statement, which is the overall objective, the vague statement. Then we have objectives, where we identify, where we translate mission into objectives, the long-term objective, what you will do in 5 years or maybe 3 years or maybe, what are the overall plans to translate it. Then it's CSF, and then it's KPI. So this is basically the hierarchy. Mission statements define objectives. We make objectives with respect to mission statement. Then we develop what are the critical success factor for the achievement of those objectives. And then we identify what should be the KPIs for CSF, what performance indicator we should measure if we really want to achieve the critical success factor. So this is basically how you drill down from mission to KPI. So he would like you to assess how cascade down from the mission to critical success factor to KPI could be achieved at WMS. So what WMS is doing with respect to this. Right. This is basically what you have to discuss with respect to performance hierarchy. The first part. Right. The second part is saying the CEO would like you to provide an evaluation of whether WMS current performance dashboard measures the achievement of both TLG and WMS detailed aim. He has instructed you to limit your workings to appendix number 1. So in the second requirement, we have to identify whether this performance measurement system is actually in line with the overall objective of company. And company here means what? Company here means TLG and WMS both. So the second requirement is a bit clear. Second requirement is not that difficult, right? Even benchmarking is not difficult. Benchmarking is very easier for students to do. What I think in this whole 50 marks question is actually the first part, which is actually the problem. Problem lies with the first part. This is basically what I believe, because first part is difficult to understand. And when the first part is difficult to understand, students start fumbling and they completely panic in question number 1. They start with the panicking. So what I believe, if you are writing the answer, first just forget about everything, what you have to write, what you have to do. Try to start with structuring your answer. The first professional part of communication. I don't know if you guys have ever written a first part or not, first report or not. I mean, reported the first requirement or not. So we always start with two, irrespective of whatever has been asked by the examiner. Just start with these two, from, date, subject, and introduction. And after writing these 5 headings, try to copy and paste these requirements along with the marks. Right? And here we know that we have to put these 4 headings in our paper, right? So whatever we will do in part number 1, we have to do it here, second part here, and third part in onwards. So if you think that you can easily start with part number 1, you can start. But if you think that no, part number 1 is a bit tricky, I'm not sure what to do with part number 1, you can also start from part number 2. There's nothing wrong with that. You can come to part number 1 later. If you, after doing all these things, you can come to part number 1, right? That is also a doable thing, right? So we can start with part number 2, but I think because we are doing exam practice session, so I think it's good to start with part number 1. I don't want to go with part number 2. It will shatter the confidence. It's not a good thing to say. I mean it's not a good idea to start with part number 2 when you are actually teaching something. So let's start with part number 1. And what you have to do here is you have to explain how the CEO wants the explanation of how his department performance measurement system fits with overall strategy of TLG. And you have to do this by considering the hierarchy wise, I mean, from mission statement to CSF to KPI, right? So let's move here. Let's start writing here. I will not write complete answer because we don't have much time. I will give a basic idea how to write, and then I will show how I have written it, right? And the marking scheme also. Not marking scheme, I mean, where you can earn marks. So we can start with 2, from, date, subject. The first thing which we need to understand is, let's start with the mission statement. Mission statement. Then the second one is objective. The third one is critical success factors. And probably then it's KPI, right? So how can we start? Okay, fine. He would like you to assess how cascade from mission statement to CSF and has been done. So we will start it like this. You can write a heading. Reasonable heading will be right. So let's start with a basic idea, because he wants you to analyze how CSF, how mission statement is linked with objectives and CSF and KPI. So first of all, you have to put a paragraph of what the mission statement is. Right. Is it possible that if I show you the initially written answer instead of writing, because it's taking time? Is it fine?
Yes.
Okay. See, this is basically how we can start with, right? To, from, date, and subject and introduction. I believe introduction, don't write it initially. Then we can start with hierarchy of objectives. I just want to show you till here. Hierarchy of objectives, what we did is we tried to explain this part. Where I've written that. In that part, I have tried to explain this, that mission statement is connected with objectives, is connected with CSF, and is connected with KPI. So this is basically how the hierarchy can be defined, right? So the performance measurement hierarchy is a structured approach that enable organization to align their goals, track progress effectively. It begins by establishing a clear and comprehensive mission statement, outlining its long-term vision. Its mission statement serves as a guiding principle, providing the direction and sense of purpose for the entire organization. Based on this mission, you can change the word from WMS instead of writing organization. Based on this mission statement, measurable time-bound objectives are derived, and then objective is connected with CSF and KPI. So just a brief introduction of what this is. Now, the next point is important. Why the next point is important? Because next he wants to identify how his department performance measurement system fits with the overall strategy of TLG, right? And how can we do that? See, we have to start with the mission statement, right? Mission statement in the sense that what WMS mission statement is, and is it connected with TLG or not, right? What is the mission statement of TLG? TLG mission statement is clearly given here, that it's basically to maintaining and enhancing quality of life in T-Shire. Right? This is the overall mission statement. And based on these mission statement, we have identified few objectives. Right? So mission statement of the TLG is given here. Right? Now we have to connect mission statement of WMS with the TLG. So in order to check whether what WMS is doing is in line with what is the requirement of TLG. I mean, those mission statements are connected or not. Can you see the mission statement of WMS in this question? Is this the mission statement? This is actually not the mission statement. This is actually the overall objective. It's more objective because here mission statement is actually kind of vague statement. Right? In general, what we have to do. It's more specific, right? So mission statement of WMS is actually missing here. And that's a tricky point because there are students who have connected this, who have considered this to be a mission statement. This is not the mission statement, this is the objective. The second one, this part is actually the objective. This is not the mission statement. These are the objectives. So the mission statement of WMS is missing here. So we cannot link it with TLG. Right? So the first point of mission statement is not given here. Now you have to write it. And it needs so much courage to say that WMS mission statement is missing because students are usually scared of saying this, that this is missing here. So we have to tell the examiner that, look, mission statement of WMS is missing. So obviously we cannot connect it. TLG mission statement is given and we try to emphasize on the importance. We can try to emphasize on the importance of the mission statement that, look, it's important because it will give the overall direction. It will define the direction of the organization, the company, the entity, institution, whatever you want to do. Then it comes to the objective. Right. Now, I'm giving you 2 minutes to think how you will connect the objectives, how you will perform this part. The CEO considers himself a logical manager, so wants to be able to explain how this department performance measurement system fits with the overall strategy of TLG.
Ma'am, one question.
Yeah, sure.
Why you tell that PMS will achieve the detail? That line is not a mission statement. I didn't understand that.
This one?
The VMS, yeah, that line.
Because see, we are actually talking about a specific project, right? We are talking about winning a national clean region competition, right? So see, the difference between mission statement and and objectives is that mission statement defines the very generalized terms like this: maintaining and enhancing the quality of life in TSHI. And for that, we can do multiple things, right? This is not a generalized statement. This is a very specific statement where we are saying that we want to being recycle friendly. That makes sense. Winning the annual national clean region competition and instituting project airfare fresh air. So this is actually trying to connect with someone. And what they are doing is, what they did is that the board of WMS has discussed this hierarchy of strategies at length and has agreed the following responses. So probably what they have done is they have considered this part of TLG, and they have connected this TLG part with they have discussed, and they came up with this point that okay, fine, we will try to be recycle friendly, and we want to win the competition, and we want to start with a project pressure, right? So this is something
Okay.
which has some boundaries, some deadlines, especially this national competition and pressure.
If the sentence is only telling recycle friendly, that's also a mission, right?
Yeah,
If the
this
sentence is
can
only
be, yeah, this can be something which we can include in sort of mission statement, but the other parts are completely not.
okay.
All right. Now,
Okay, right.
now the objectives of WMS has been given here, right? So we can say that yes, these objectives are given here. And what are these objectives? These objectives are being recycle friendly, right? And
Okay.
winning competition. And the third one is fresh air. Fresh air project where we are trying to oppose the large scale burning. Right. Now the problem is now how we are going to do this, we have to see if these three are objectives of WMS, if these are connected with TLG or not. Right. So being recycle friendly, is it connected? This is connected with the second part of the objectives of TLG. So we can connect it, that this is connected with the second part of TLG objective. Winning the competition, is it connected with anything?
Nothing.
These are three objectives.
Okay. I think first one is right.
Yes. This is connected with first part of objective,
Yeah.
TLG objectives. Fresh air project is actually to reduce, optimize, oppose, sorry, this part. This is basically the objective of fresh air. So
Okay.
somehow it is
It's also
connected.
connected.
Yeah, third part.
Yeah.
So we can say that yes, the objectives of WMS are actually connected with the overall objective of TLS, right? is something which which went unaddressed.
What?
Is this something which actually went unaddressed? See, the first part was prioritize keeping public spaces clean and attractive. Now there are two things. You have to keep spaces clean and also attractive. So clean part has been addressed, but the attractive part has not been addressed. Because cleanliness is something else. Attractiveness of public spaces is something else. So attractive part is missing.
Okay.
Right? And
Okay.
if you are increasing recycling, if you are becoming recycling friendly, then obviously reduce the proportion of waste going to landfill dumping site may also meet, right? So we can say that
Yes.
we can put it here in the second part. We have to explain it that this other part will be can be met accordingly. If we are meeting the first objective, ultimately we will end up meeting the second part also, right? So this is something which we have to identify that, look, this is the overall mission statement, and these are the objectives, and whether these objectives are in line with TLG or not, right? So let's see how we can write it. Oh, sorry. First of all, mission statement in this scenario, WMS mission statement has to be in line with TLG mission. The mission statement of TLG has been mentioned. However, the mission statement of WMS is missing here. Instead of developing their own mission statement, WMS management has made its objective keeping in mind the mission statement of TLG, right? We can further focus on, that WMS should have their own mission statement. We can write it. The second one is okay. The second one is objectives. Objectives of WMS has been developed in three main areas. So we have identified that, look, recycling friendly is connected with recycling friendly is a bit vague, but this is somehow connected with the first part of the mission statement. The term recycling friendly is being in voice is disturbing. Hello. The term, the voice in the background is actually
okay.
Okay, the term recycle friendly is a bit vague and is not defining what it does actually mean. Does it mean that WMS should focus on using the material products which can be recycled or increase the proportion of recycling waste? This part of WMS objective is in line with the second aim of TLG. We can write it in this. We can write it in different way. In order to do the balancing part, we can write it like this. This part of WMS objective is in line with the second aim of TLG, which wants local government to increase recycle level. However, we can write, there's a balancing statement, however, we are actually trying to highlight this issue that what do you mean by recycle friendly? Are you trying to say that the company should use that the region should use more recyclable components, or shall we increase the recycling thing? Right? This is something which we have written. Winning annual national competition, winning is actually connected with the cleanliness part we have identified here. However, it is not measured the other part of the objective which required to hold public spaces attractive too. I have written it here. Sorry. I have written it here. You you can write it in requirement of any other information, like put a heading of any other information, both are fine. And then we have identified that fresh air is. So this part is easy. This part was of 11 marks. No, how many?
The main mistake, I think the students
11
are
marks.
making that.
Sorry?
The main mistake students are making that mission statement of WMSS written down that objective, right?
Yeah, mission statement. They have written the mission statement keeping in mind the overall objective of TLG. See,
Yeah.
overall, what we have written is not too much for 11 marks. But the important point is, you see, 11 marks are not for writing. 11 marks are for understanding the requirement and then addressing it properly. So we have identified the first requirement, which says that you have to tell what is the hierarchy of objectives, right? Then you have to tell what is a mission statement, right? Mission statement, and then you have to go with the objectives, right? Critical success factors and KPIs I have addressed it here, so I'm not connecting it here because the examiner is actually concerned about the fact whether the performance measurement systems fit with the overall strategy of TLG or not, right? So we have identified that few are in line, these three are in line with the objective of TLG and one is not. So we have highlighted that as well. So this is a complete answer, right? And
Okay.
Shall we move to second part or do you need a 5 minutes break? Because I don't think there's any other student. There was one student, but she left because of some reason. She has some urgent issues.
Okay. One of my doubt is in performance hierarchy, we want to write that mission statement and CSF KPI, all that thing which you tell is.
CSF KPIs is actually here. If you proceed to CSF and KPI, ultimately you will end up in doing the second part. I will explain it later. I will explain it later. That's why I just put a hold here. Because in the second part, you are required to with performance measurement dashboard, whether these things which are given here, these are actually CSF and KPIs. No? This is the CSF, frequency of waste collection, and then we have, these are the KPIs because these are the ways we have measured the overall critical success factors of the organization. So if you start doing this part, you will end up with the second requirement, which says that performance dashboard, right? So this is basically something which we have addressed. Explain how his department performance measurement system fits with the overall strategy of TLG. This is something we did. He would like you to assess how cascade down from mission statement to CSF could be achieved at WMS. So we have identified this part as well here. Yeah, this first paragraph. Right?
Okay, 1 minute. I want to read that.
Okay. Shall you proceed?
1 minute, 1 minute. I want to read that KPI part.
Okay. This part?
Yeah. Okay. Move on.
Okay. Now, let's move the second and interesting part. The CEO would like you to provide an evaluation of whether WMS current performance dashboard measures the achievement of both TLG and WMS detailed aims, right? At this stage, he has instructed you to limit your work to considering those matrices in the current dashboard. He has supplied you with a copy of most recent dashboard, right? So let me try to copy and paste the objectives of TLG and WMS here. Right. So, okay, fine. Okay. So now I have to see, you have to analyze whether these objectives okay. You have to analyze whether these objectives are in line with the overall objectives of TNG and WMS, right? So these are the objectives of TLG, sorry. Right. Now, I'm giving you 2 to 3 minutes. Try to identify whether these 3 objectives or the overall aims can be measured by any of these indicators which are given in appendix number 1. Try to take 2 minutes and think over it.
The priorities keep public space and clean attractive is something that waste collected with the commercial purposes. It is increasing.
How you can connect it with the appendix number 1?
The volume of waste is collecting, which means the
Okay, think it like this way. Start with appendix number 1. See if this is connecting with try to connect this from this. So let's start with frequency of waste collection. I don't know whether you were there or not when I explained what is the term of frequency of waste collection. This means they are collecting wastage every 14 days. In every 14 days means 2 weeks. 2 weeks in 2014, and they were collecting in 1 week in 2003. So probably now they are taking more time. I mean, now they are collecting in twice a month, waste collection twice a month, right? So is this helping the company to measure any of these 3 indicators? See, this is not this cannot be considered. This is not something to be considered. First is relevant.
Yeah.
But in first, there are 2 areas, clean and attractive. Can we measure both?
Yeah. I think attractive things we cannot measure, right?
Yes, only we can measure clean part, right? So this is actually related with the first objective, right? And what about volume of waste collected?
I think it is also connected with Western, right?
Exactly. Now this is, see, it's a very clever move by examiner. What your students usually think is that they think that how is it possible that two measures are connected with one aim? So ultimately what they do is they try to connect it with the second aim. Somehow they figure out some theory and they connected with the second objective. I have seen students doing this. It needs so much courage to say that no second indicator is also actually connected with the first objective. Are you getting my point? So sometimes it happened in APM paper that examiner used to check how you are attempting, how confident you are. So yeah, that is also related with one. The third one is volume of waste disposed of from landfill site and recycling facilities. That how much waste you can dispose in both situations. So can you identify?
This answers the second one, right?
Yeah, perfect. So this is actually related with the second one. Right? We are doing for TNG. And what about the last one?
I didn't understand that.
This is basically you have to oppose the large scale burning of organic matter, right? So nothing about carbon dioxide emissions, nothing about the volume of waste that they have burned. So nothing, no indicator has been given. So this part cannot be measured from the information given in performance measurement system. So we will identify that, look, this is missing here.
Yeah.
All right. So
what about
this,
labor cost? You cannot
sorry,
do that. I think.
What about
what? About the labor cost?
Sorry, I was drinking water. Labor cost is actually, see, this appendix is also relevant for benchmarking. So benchmarking, we will use that, right?
Okay.
The third one, okay, fine. Now let's move to this part. There were two requirements. Huh? Now there is another trick. What the students do is they connect it with TLG and then they forget about WMS. What the original requirement was to connect it with TLG and WMS both. TLG and WMS both. But in this question, students forget this, tends to forget this, right? So let's start with how it is connected with WMS. WMS objective is to achieve the detailed aims of being recycle friendly. So recycling friendly can be achieved by what?
Third one, right?
This is actually how much waste you are disposing of by using recycling facilities, right?
Okay.
I'm writing here. Right? Then it says winning the annual national clean region competition. This was also the part of the objective, right? Now, how we can connect it?
First one, right?
Yes, this can be connected with the first one, right? And instituting Project Fresh Air. Now, Project Fresh Air was actually what? Project Fresh Air was to oppose the large-scale burning of organic matter. So, TLG, so Fresh Air is actually, oops, sorry. Fresh is not, air is not here. So, this part is also missing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Part is missing. Right. So this is basically how we have connected it, how we have identified that this performance measurement report is connected with the overall mission statement of TLG and WMS. Now let's see how we can write it. Just write a very clean, neat and decent presentation. See, compatibility of WMS performance measurement system with TLG strategies, and then it's with WMS strategy. So this is basically the first part. Keeping public spaces clean and attractive, right? Continue to increase. Now, one thing I forgot to identify here is that nothing about attractiveness has been mentioned. So cleanliness part has been addressed, but attractiveness has not been addressed.
Yeah.
That is also missing, right? So,
Okay, give me an example for attractiveness.
see, if you go to some streets, or if you go to some places, cleanliness is no doubt among one of the reasons why you may want to visit a beach or maybe something. But there are other things also. For example, if you are going to a beach, you are finding horse riding here, you are finding some other facilities. You would like to go there, right? Similarly, if you are going to a road or maybe something, and you are seeing nice art, what you call it, street art and something like that, you will get attracted towards it. Or maybe lighting, or maybe if these are public spaces, so probably some other facility, maybe Wi-Fi. For example, you just want to spend some time somewhere and you are unable to find any Wi-Fi connection. Probably you will not get attracted toward that place, irrespective of the fact how clean it is, right? So attractiveness
Okay.
can be something else, right? It's not only cleanliness. However, cleanliness complemented.
Okay. The KPI which I could prefer is the increased number of inquiry could be attractiveness KPI, right?
Sorry.
Example, the increased number of inquiry. The number of inquiry for the cleanness of inquiry.
Yeah, that can be used. So,
okay.
So, this is something which I have written, right? I'm giving you 2 minutes to read it rather than I read it. Just read it how to demonstrate what we have discussed, right?
Okay.
And then we will move.
Okay. Okay, I just say that.
Right, and this is basically the problem which we have identified, that attractiveness has not been made, right? And
Yeah,
this is alignment with the WMS mission, that recycle friendly, winning the national competition. No indicator for project airfare has been identified. Right.
Okay.
Right. So this is basically, and we have identified we have concluded the overall objective, that the objectives of WMS are broadly in line with the WMS aims of ALG as far as a PM report is concerned. This is basically related to this part. Let me try to. Sorry. This is actually connected with the first part which we did earlier, right? It's looking very bad. Okay.
Okay.
And then I have basically summarized the first two requirements, right? Now, let's take 5 minutes break, or shall we continue with benchmarking? It's easier.
We can continue. Yeah, we can continue.
Okay, fine. So the benchmarking, the requirement is again very simple. The CEO has collected data from other organizations in Appendix 2 and wants you to perform a benchmarking exercise using WMS performance dashboard and the data in appendix number 2. So WMS performance dashboard and the data in appendix number 2. So this is basically something which is in appendix number 2. Let me try to copy and paste data from appendix number 1 because this relates to WMS. Okay. Okay. Now, first of all, try to read these. Sorry. Try to read these 3 points and tell me something. Tell me your conclusion about it. That why these 3 organization has been given here. What you will do with this piece of information?
To compare. To compare with other neighbor government countries and local. Right?
Sorry, I couldn't understand. What about the organization A? A is a neighboring local government to T-Shire, which has a very similar population and waste disposal need and volume. Can we benchmark the results of WMS with organization A? Can we do that? Probably, because it has very similar population and similar disposal needs and volumes. Needs and volumes in the sense that maybe, like for example, if you are in Europe, probably you will find less need for disposal because their people are quite know the importance of waste and everything. In Pakistan, there is a very different perception. So they are saying that these 2 localities are very similar. So probably we can benchmark. Organization B is a local government in neighboring country of VLAND. The country is different. Both of which have strong reputation for being clean. Both means the local government and the country of VLAND. The people and probably the organization have very strong reputation for clean. But it has not mentioned whether the population is similar or not, same or not. So if organization B, if VLAND is not as populated as WMS is, their waste collection will be probably low. And if they are highly populated, then waste generation will be higher. So probably in that sense, WMS and B are less comparable, and they are more they are strong reputation for being clean. So probably they are spending more, and that's probably the reason why this total cost is given here. What about organization C? C is a multinational company based in Thailand, right? Which has multiple industry sites and organizes all of its own waste disposal. So can we compare WMS with organization C?
No.
Definitely. Definitely no. Because this is a multinational company and its objective will be most probably to profit-making objectives. Right? So we cannot compare our performance. Exactly. So we cannot compare our performance with the public sector performance with the private sector. We cannot do that. So why this information? Because these informations are given here because there can be some students who try to benchmark the performance of WMS with all. So you're not supposed to benchmark the performance with all. You have to write a paragraph regarding with whom you can benchmark and with whom you cannot benchmark your activities. Right? So this is also something which is important. Now, the easy part. Easy part is to benchmark, right? Benchmarking is an easy part, right? So,
Yeah.
so what we can do is we can start with the frequency. See, for WMS, we just have to consider this part because the information for WBABC is given for 30th June 2005, right? So forget about these 2 years, right? So let's start quickly. Frequency of waste collection. Now, we are collecting every 14 days, right? We are collecting every 14 days here. But the other organizations are connecting every 7 days.
We are better.
We are better? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Consider your, I don't know how you are managing your waste, but consider someone collecting waste from your house after every 14 days. Consider someone who is collecting waste from street every 14 days. This is the first situation. And the second situation is someone is collecting waste after every 7 days. So collection of after every 7 days is better compared with collection after every 14 days.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
See
I get
in
it.
that way. So our
Okay.
performance, yeah, exactly. So our performance is definitely we are compromising on this part, right? Because we are not as good in this part. So it is basically compromising the cleanliness part. Then it says volume of waste collected. Volume of waste collected is this. Okay, fine. We are using these two now. So volume of waste collected is, sorry, this part. Volume of waste collected is almost same. For A, it is almost same. Why this is same? Because probably they have very similar population and similar waste disposable requirement. So overall waste collection is same. It's fine. Nothing to worry about. This is different because we don't know the population. If population is high, definitely they will be producing high waste. So these two are very easy requirements. The third one is volume of waste disposal. And these two are connected with the first part of mission statement. You may connect it with the mission statement also. Now, what about this one? I'm giving you 2 minutes. Not 2 minutes are quite high time. A minute to see and understand how we can benchmark it.
We are performing low, right?
Sorry, we are here. We are performing low. In what terms? See, waste collection is okay. Waste collection of ours and our similar competitor or whatever you call him is same. But where is the problem?
Recycling.
Exactly. The other entity similar to us is recycling 1.6 out of 3.1. We are recycling just 1.2. And since we are recycling only 1.2, that means more waste is going to landfill site, which is not here, which is not the case here. Right? So one way of writing it is in absolute terms. Second way of writing, a better way of writing it is in terms of percentage. So we can figure out what percentages are. And actually, we have a problem. We know that this can be a populated area. B can be a populated area. That's why they are collecting more wastage. And probably that's why they have overall total more waste. But proportion can be compared. So we can compare these proportion also. That 1.3 out of 4.3 and 1.3 out of 3, right? Let me give you a very brief idea. I think I can calculate it here. Let me try to do this. Let me try to do WMS. WMS is 1.9 divided by 3.1 is 61.29%. This 1.9 out of 3.1. What A is doing? A is 1.5 divided by 3.1. A is recycle. Am I doing wrong? 1.6 over 3.1. Sorry. I think I chose a wrong figure. This is not 1.9, this is 1.2.
Okay.
38.71. And if you go for C, I have calculated these figures already, but I'm just trying to show you something. 1.3 out of 4.3. So we are recycling only 38.71%. A is recycling 51% and B is recycling 69%. C, if you want to include C as a proportion, because we can proportionate it, so proportion wise, C is recycling. This is the first time we are including C because we are calculating proportion. So C is 0.3 out of 0.4, 75%. So we are at the lowest. And since we are lowest here, we are highest on the landfill side. So this is basically, here we are quite low. Here we are quite far behind what the others are doing. And now you can compare the labor cost and waste management cost. Waste management cost in the sense 322 divided by, you can divide these figures like this. 322 divided by 3.1, so you can get how much money you are spending per million tons, right? And you can compare these costs and divide and then compare it. And then you can figure out what is the issue. So let me try to highlight how I have written here. See, this benchmarking definition, why I've written here, because the company is doing benchmarking first time. You can start with benchmarking definition. What is the objective, basic purpose of benchmarking, and then you can start. So starting with frequency waste collection management, we have identified that frequency waste collection is lower, right? Compared with the others, it will hinder the achievement of cleanliness objectives of TLG. No, TLG. Benchmarking is done with respect to what? Oh, it's WMS. So we should change this word to not TLG to WMS. WM. Right. So
Could you please send this answer?
Sorry?
Could you please send the answer to the group?
Yeah, sure. So you can read it later on, right? So we have identified. Now let me bring you to the professional marks, right? This is a very important question, that where are the professional marks? We haven't discussed professional marks in this whole scenario. Now, let me tell you where we have connected that, where we can get those professional marks. See, first, I'm not doing the last part because it's actually related to budgeting, and it will drag our session a lot. So first of all, this is the overall layout, headings, structure, everything. That will help you for communication part, right?
Okay.
The second one is analysis and evaluation. So analysis and evaluation, let me try to highlight where that evaluation was. Yeah. You were required to evaluate whether the WMS current performance measurement is in line with TLD and WMS. So this part which we have identified is actually something which we can connect it with evaluation, because we have evaluated now whether this is connected or not, what is missing here. So this is the part of evaluation and analysis, right? And then the and then there is another problem of and then that was a professional acumen, whether that is acceptable or not. So professional acumen is actually in the fourth part where you were required to identify whether the zero-based budgeting is relevant or not. And skepticism, which we have identified what is the logic behind it, that is actually somehow can be connected with the overall answer. I mean, there is no specific part where we can connect it. Maybe maybe we can connect it with attractiveness part. That attractiveness has not been measured, so probably we need more information for how to, how we can define the attractiveness. We need some more information for that. But there is nothing regarding the doubtful information is not here. Nothing about doubtful. However, we can say that, okay, fine, we need some more information regarding the attractiveness part because that has not been measured here. So these few things are actually can be related to the professional marks. In the next session, we will do one question from past paper, because this is not from the past paper. This is from ACCA mock examination. I chose this question because of the first part, because I felt that this part was actually the issue. I think in every 50 marks question or in every paper, there is one part is usually the problem. And in this question, I believe that is the first part, because the requirement was not so clear. Students got confused between this part and the other part, right? So in the next question, in the next section, probably we will start with another question of APM, and then we'll see how we can connect it with professional marks, and we will see another thing. We will see examiner report, because this is a mock question, so examination report is not available. And we will see what are the good answers and what are the bad answers, right?
Okay. How many days are you planning this question practice?
When I will have the another next session, that's what you're asking?
How many days?
I don't know why I am unable to understand what you are saying. Can you say a little bit slower?
How many days are you planning?
Okay. See, I'm sorry. I'm planning these sessions weekly basis. Like every week on Monday, we will do a question. Not this Monday, but every Monday at same time, 5:30 to 7:30, we will do one question of past paper, where in different days we will do different things. For example, in one day we can cover examiner report. In one day we can cover something else from past examination. There are few questions which are very tricky. There are few questions which are which are tricky in terms of they require bookish information. So we'll do these. We will cover these things. Also, in the regular examination practice session, I will provide recordings of pre-recorded lectures apart from what we are doing in these live sessions. I mean, what we are doing in live sessions is not the part of what I have given you in recorded session. It will give you recorded session.
Okay. When I have a doubt, how can I contact you?
how you came to know about this session?
No, any doubt in rating the question practice?
Okay. Just a second. You can contact me on this is my contact number. You can directly contact me on WhatsApp, or if you want to have the regular sessions, you can contact me as well, or from whatever source you get this link, you can contact that person, because we have
Okay.
marketed this with so many resources. So I don't know how you came to know about the session, right? So I will
Yeah.
provide this recording and this written material to the group, and we can have this. Okay, fine. Can you do me one thing? Write a message to me, and I will forward it to the group. And in case in case you didn't get it, just contact me, and I will give you these details. Right?
Okay.
Okay, just one last thing. Sorry, I'm taking much time. Can you give me your introduction, because you were not from the start of the session?
My introduction.
Yeah, what's your name? Which region do you belong? And if you don't want to
Yeah.
tell,
My name is
it
Rasul
doesn't matter.
Muhammad. Okay. My name is Rasul Muhammad. I am from India, Kerala,
Okay.
state in India.
Okay.
I am attempting AAA and APM in this session. Means September session.
This is your first attempt.
Yeah. AAA is
Oh.
second attempt.
Okay, so I believe that if this is going to be your first attempt, try to practice as many questions as you can. Try to write the answers. I will provide you a recording of this session. Try to listen the first 10 to 15 minutes. In those 10 to 15 minutes, I have highlighted what are the basic issues of APM students, why they fail.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Rasul.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ma'am.
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, where are you from?
I'm from Pakistan.
Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.